All right, let's go ahead and finish chapter 7.4. We looked at different ways to solve percent problems. Before moving on, you may want to take a few minutes just to try a couple of these problems on your own. I have the solutions, I'll post them right now, but take a look. Again, these are the types of problems we do in class, spend a little bit of time. We don't emphasize these a lot. These are a little bit more challenging problems, but again, for your growth and understanding, these are problems that students would solve in middle school and have to think and often do struggle with. And even people in the real world struggle with this. So it's worth that time to think about that. Now, here are, you can pause. Here are some of my work, so you can check your answers after. So if you want to do that, maybe I could zoom in on one of them here, kind of setting that up here. You also then have option 2, more algebraic approach, finding the discount, or again, finding the original price, sorry on that. And then option 3, it's the real world scenario. Once you get a job, work for a union maybe, or you're getting a negotiating a contract. It's a common misconception about growth. So hopefully you get some time to look at that. We end the chapter on mental math and estimation because a lot of times you want to be fluent in the language, right? So we learn that certain fractions, right, have equivalent decimal values, but those can be compared to percents also. As we see 5%, 10%, 25, we know those fractions. And so when we're taking percentages, we can just use the fraction instead. Actually, 25% of 44 is 1/4. 75% is 3/4. So we don't have to go through all of that process. We use our mental math here. This is a cool one here. 38% of 50. That seems hard to do, but what we realize is this is commutative, meaning I could just switch the order, right? 38% of 50 turns out to be the same answer as 50% of 38. That's kind of a cool discovery that we have. And so that's just half of 38 or 19, right? When we think about it, if you're doing 38% of 50, that's 38 out of 100 times 50. But again, you could say 38 times 100 times 50, 38 times 50 over 100. So you could see how they're equivalent. That's why you can interchange them. It's kind of a cool trick. So 35% of 20, that's hard to do, but I can do 20% of 35. 1/5 of 35 is 7. So kind of cool to think about that mental trick. And then if you're going to estimate, these are hard to do unless you have a calculator or know how to set it up. I can just turn this to 50% of 70, 33% of 96, which is divide by 3. 123% could be 125% of 60, which is 5/4, which is, you could take 1/4 of 60, then times 5. So a lot of ways to think flexibly. Once you know the equivalent percentages and fractions, you can start to solve some problems. So that's what you find here. Again, as you go through the textbook, I want to remind you of kind of cool stuff. Our famous math educator here presenting different ways, kind of unique ways to solve percent problems. So it's worth taking a look there. And then if you want to practice your quick recall, there's a little app here too. 5% of 100 is 5, because I could also say what's 100% of 5. So that's kind of cool. Next problem, 15% of 68. In this case, that's a little bit, I would do 10% of 68 is 6.8. And then half of that is 3.4. So is that 9.2? Let's see. Oops. 10. Oh, that's going to show me here, right? 10% of 6.8. And then 5% is half of 10%. So that's 3.4. So I need 6.8 plus 3.4. So it turns out to be 10.2. Yeah, that's it. So try that a little bit, because you can break up that 15%, 25%, right? Try to do that in your head a little bit. That's it.